I think that the bill is probably the greatest fiscal con job that's ever been perpetrated on the U.S. public. And I have three reasons for saying that, Penver. One is that only about 25% of the bill actually involves hard infrastructure. That's what people think of: water treatment plants, roads, bridges, that kind of thing. The second thing is that the bill claims that all of it will be paid for without the necessity for increasing taxes. But the Congressional Budget Office has just issued a, a very critical report indicating that about a fourth of the bill, the $1.2 trillion, will not be paid for and will have to require increased taxes. The third factor is really the elephant in the room, and that is, assuming this does pass, Penver, and goes to the House of Representatives, there will be something called reconciliation, which we don't have to get out in the technical weeds about what all that means. But the bottom line is it means that the House of Representatives will attach $3.5 trillion of extra money to the $1.2 trillion infrastructure bill, and you'll have a monster of about $5 trillion in spending that we're talking about. So that's the reason I think it's a fiscal con job, the likes of which I've never observed in the United States before.
Right. And so to that point, because you've highlighted this in your notes as well, talking about the cost overruns and the execution delays and how that would just take the bill higher. What would the total number look like? I mean, in terms of past experiences, what do you think the cost overruns would look like, and why has that not been factored in as of now?
Well, I think let us assume, Penver, that the thing goes to the House. It has reconciliation. It ends up at $5 trillion. The real cost of that, you have to multiply that by 3, so it's going to be about $15 trillion. And the reason for that is something called excess burden. And the excess burden is the result of the fact that there is a burden associated with collecting a dollar's worth of tax in the United States, and that burden amounts to about $3 for every dollar that actually is collected. So you have a monster facing the United States. It really is a total underestimate of what the burden actually will be. It'll be something, if passed, as they plan to pass it, a $5 trillion bill, a $5 trillion package will amount to a $15 trillion package.
And where does that leave the all-important question on, return on investment in terms of how much can they extract with this kind of investment and over what period of time?
Yeah, Penver, this is a critical question. When I was on President Reagan's Council of Economic Advisors, since my expertise is in infrastructure, the President Reagan assigned me with the task of evaluating all these infrastructure projects that were being proposed at that time. This is the early 1980s, and I can tell you that Reagan's instructions were, if you can't pass Hanke's benefit cost test, we're not going to do the project. And there were no projects that were passed. The rate of return is negative on almost all these projects. They're absolute public boondoggles of the highest order, benefits much less than cost.